and welcome to Walford Weekly, your EastEnders podcast, where we will be discussing the stories that were aired on the BBC in the UK on the dates Monday the 8th to Friday the 12th of February 2021. Rob is joining me once again to sift through the good, the bad and the downright ugly. Hello, Rob.
Hello, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you. Very well. Curious to know, have you had any Valentine's gifts this year?
Honestly, I have to go to hospital to sort out my hands from all the paper cuts of opening all of the Valentine's cards I've received this year.
Really? It's been an influx, has it? As the mailman had to bring like a lorry of...
Oh, yeah. No, you have to bring out the special van. The ones with like massive compartments in.
Compartments with compartments inside.
Yeah. Are you doing anything nice for Valentine's Day this year?
No, I think Ben and I are just going to kind of stay in. We're going to have a Galentine's, just stay in and maybe watch a Netflix movie. I must say, Ben isn't a huge fan of Valentine's, so I'd be lucky to get a card this year myself.
Oh.
But I keep the tradition alive and I give him a card. But we don't go any further than that. I mean, the best... If I was going to toot my own horn for the best Valentine's gift I've ever given Ben, is that I found a website where you can have M&Ms printed with anything you want on them. So I had my face and the cat's face printed on all the M&Ms.
Wow.
It was a pretty special gift, I have to say.
That's so romantic.
Moving swiftly along, there's lots and lots to talk about this week. We have obviously Chelsea and Max seeing a mystic. We have the Carters getting into some trouble and Whitney and Kush finally getting it on. But before we do any of that, we have a little bit of news. And as is always the way on EastEnders, there's a one in, one out system, and we're losing a beloved character. Big Mo is going to leave the soap. We don't know when, but at some point, possibly this year. And the actress Layla Morse has said that she's going to move to Spain and live out her life there.
Good luck moving to Spain at the minute.
Well, I know she said which she kind of made a point about it being Brexit being the difficulty for it. But I think, as you say, I think there's a lot more trouble brewing other than just that.
It's going to be sad to lose Mo. Well, mind you, that said, she's not really done a lot for quite a long time now. So it's not going to be, I think, massively noticeable that she's not there. But she's a nice sort of stalwart that's been there for years and years and years. So it'd be a shame to see her go. But I think she has said that she will return at some point.
Yes, the door is open. That old phrase. The door is open for her. The producers have said that they would like her to come back now and then. Not that they want her to come back for a big story. They just want her now and then. So presumably it'll be
funerals.
That's it.
Your party.
She's the new Aunt Sal, isn't she? She's the Aunt Sal for the Slaters. So she'll be coming back. But I don't blame her. I mean, she's had bigger stories in the past. But when she returned, she had that fun story when she pretended to be dead when she came back with all the rest of the Slaters to the square. And, she's always been in the background. She's always been a fun character when she's on screen. She's always been interesting to see. But I don't think she's going to be necessarily a huge hole for the show for her leaving.
No. She's done good service, though, like you say. I think there's many highlights of Mo over the air. I don't think, like you said, I don't think she's ever been sort of a character at the forefront at any point. She's always sort of been in a support role. But she's done it well, and I think it's underestimated how important those sorts of characters are to sort of keep the realism of the community. And like you say, she's always funny. She's always there with a good one-liner. The image of her lying in a coffin pretending to be dead, also the gangsters around. Yeah, will live on.
I know. I'll miss her, Layla Morse. She'll be missed. Julia's theme for her, do you think? Question mark.
Oh, I sincerely doubt it.
I don't think so either. But as I say, one in, one out. So someone is coming back to the soap. I don't know if this is a surprise to you. I felt like it was a bit surprising. The Carter they chose anyway, because I was sure that they would say it would be Lee Carter that was coming back. But no, it's Nancy Carter. She's returning. Maddie Hill for her role. Yeah, we love her character, actually.
Yeah, love Nancy. And I could cry she hasn't been recast. It's amazing.
I know, a minor miracle. But what's happened with her and Tamwa? Their happy marriage in New Zealand. Was it New Zealand they went to? Australia?
New Zealand, yeah. We know where half the cast go. When I'm surprised Mo's not going to go to New Zealand, to be fair.
No, she's bargain-loving Britting it in Spain, isn't she? She's
Magaluf.
getting her €1 pints, on the beach at 11 a.m. Yeah, I'm so glad that Nancy's coming back. It's something we've kind of said that the Carters feel a little bit stranded at the moment on the soap. They don't seem to have any kind of purpose. And bringing Nancy back, would that kind of open the floodgates to bring back Johnny and also bring back Lee, do you think, in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, I mean, the Carters really have been missing sort of the rest of the family unit, and to have Nancy back is going to really, start to build them up again. And Lee, I think, is coming in and out. I wouldn't be surprised if we have sort of a permanent return for Lee by the end of the year as well. Johnny, they seem to really struggle giving Johnny any stories whatsoever in either of his incarnations, so... Maybe we'll get a new Johnny. Who knows? Always a good Johnny. You can never have the same old Johnny.
No, you should never use a Johnny twice.
No,
it's
never do that.
it's something I live by. I'm really excited to see Nancy come back. As I say, without Tamwa, so I presume they're going to kind of mop up the story with that somehow.
Well, I mean, Tamwa, as in the actor, is off being a big Hollywood star now, isn't he?
Well, yeah, but there's always a recast.
Yeah, that's true.
It's good to know they've not leaked any idea of any stories that could be coming, so
I'm going to guess that she's going to have at least 3 fits when she comes back.
Yeah.
She had so many fits when they first introduced the idea that Nancy had epilepsy. She was fitting left, right and centre, wasn't she, bless her?
She really was. She'll probably be tied up with drugs somehow, and there'll be some kind of heist
somewhere.
No doubt, yeah. Lovely. So some good stories there, some real good big stories. And we must mention that if you want more information about Maddie Hill's return, we actually have it on our YouTube channel. If you're listening to this on YouTube, the link will be in the top right hand corner right now, or otherwise just head to YouTube and look for Walford Weekly Podcast, and you can find more information about Maddie's return. Right, on to this week then, and we are starting with the mad story of Lucas and Chelsea and Denise. And I think Lucas has pretty much worked out now what his purpose is in this family unit, and that is that he is being used,
scum, the lowest of the low.
Yeah, used just to kind of get
bait.
Yeah, to get Chelsea out of trouble and to, possibly get him back into prison again. I mean, I don't really see what Chelsea's plan was here, because if he had got arrested for smuggling the drugs in, then she would still have to smuggle the drugs. But at the same time, she was saying, I did it on purpose because I want Dad to go back to prison and pay for what he's done, because I don't think he's really, paid for his crimes properly. Lucas is adamant, though, that he has paid and he's done everything he in his power to kind of make him...
Chelsea's right. Lucas has not paid enough for his crimes. He's not been in prison anywhere near long enough.
No, not at all. I mean, everyone around Lucas keeps telling him that you've paid your dues, you've come out a better man, so you are better for it. But Lucas is getting the impression now that everyone just wants him to be back to the Lucas they knew before he went to prison, the killer, the Lucas we know and love.
I think it was slightly less mad than it was this week. I would like to ask one thing though. Shall we briefly talk about Kevin, Alex?
Caleb?
Kevin.
Yeah, Caleb. Everything on episode 144 has been struck from the record, and
that's it, yeah. And it off YouTube and
everything, and I don't know if you knew this, but Kevin is actually the South American dialect version of Caleb. That's how they say it over there. Oh yeah.
I hear that's how they say it in Scotland as well. Maybe you picked up a few sort of dialects.
I mean, I watch a lot of international television through the higher channels on Sky. I just pick up on these things, and I just wanted to be more realistic with it. So Caleb became Kevin last week. I am still adamant that there was a different person on that phone though that she was speaking to. I don't know. I've watched the episode back a few times, and a lot of people, I have been told by a lot of people who've got in touch with me saying that you are wrong. It was Caleb on the phone, but I just...
You watched it with subtitles.
Just leave me alone. Kevin... I prefer the name Kevin anyway. Anyway, it's not the Kevin or Caleb, it's the General. We've come up with the new name for him.
There's no mistaking that, the General.
Yeah.
We didn't see him this week, but we've sort of been led to believe that Lucas has gone and dealt with him. Lucas went off to find him. I don't know how he, is there like a drug street in London, where all the drug dealers live, and he just went down it looking for the right drug dealer. So how did he know where he lived?
He stole Chelsea's phone. Chelsea had just put her phone down just for a moment.
Oh, and Chelsea's got all the sort of like in her address book, all the relevant drug dealers and their addresses and contact details and all of that.
She certainly has Caleb's, and and that's where Lucas went to find him. But Lucas went and he wasn't there, and so he said as a promise to Chelsea, "I'll come back later and I'll find him and I'll give him a good bashing." But Chelsea was concerned, and Lucas thought that she was concerned about him getting her, but she put him straight quite quickly and said, "No, I don't care if you get hurt or die. I care that he's going to come after me once you fail to basically do what you said you're going to do to Caleb." So Lucas is really not winning any fans in the Fox family at the moment, really.
We've had Chelsea back a few weeks now. What do you think of effectively new Chelsea? I think that she's actually really, really good, and she's settled into the role really well, and that she's a really good actress. And because we're both under no disillusion that this story is absolutely nuts from start to finish, but I think that she's portraying it really well.
I love Chelsea. I really like the new Chelsea, and I like the actress playing her. I might get a bit of hate for this, but I think she's, even though she's only been doing it for a very short time, I think she's far and beyond better than the original actress who played Chelsea. Oh, I know. But also I think it's been cast so well, because I see a little mini Denise in Chelsea all the time. All of her mannerisms, the way she crossed her legs this week when she was talking to Lucas, her hair is almost identical. It's just so well cast, and I wonder if the actress had spent some time together, the two actresses had spent time together to kind of pick up on these nuances. And
I mean, you're right actually, and I think even characterization wise, she's just as selfish as Chelsea's always been. She's just as headstrong, she's just as gobby. So I think actually, in terms of new characters / old characters coming in, because we've seen incantations of characters coming in, they've been completely different to the last ones. So Ben, for example, is quite a bit different from other Bens we've seen previously. But I think this Chelsea is pretty bang on the nose, really. And I can buy her as a character, and I'm watching her and I'm thinking, right, yeah, no, this is Chelsea, I'm absolutely fine with that. It's not taken as much adjusting as previous recasts have, but I do wonder if that's because Chelsea, she was a big character when she was in it at the time, but she sort of did her thing, went away, and was sort of
I know what you're saying.
About.
A bit of a blank sheet, I think. I think when the new actress came in to play Chelsea, there wasn't really a lot to follow,
less pressure.
Really. Yeah, and less pressure. As you say, Chelsea is a known character, but wasn't particularly beloved. Maybe again, I'm being a bit unfair to the character, but I think it's being embraced so well, and I'm hoping that because I thought that when they said they were introducing Chelsea, it was going to be another one of the kind of like she's going to be in it for a month or so to kind of build up the Lucas story, and then she'll be going again. And I'm hoping that's not the case, and I'm presuming that's not the case now. I think that Lucas is a kind of a short-term plan, but hopefully Chelsea will stay on for a little bit longer now.
Yeah, I mean, I think what's going to happen, because I think now that they've established sort of Denise and Chelsea are on the same page in regards to Lucas, it will be, this Lucas story will climax in some insane mad way, and then that'll be done, and then Chelsea will stick around. So and that sort of the Fox's family unit will start to be built up again with Chelsea and Raymond, and we might actually have and then Kim and Denise. So it might be nice to just see that family sort of grow and develop going forward. So I'm actually quite pleased with how this has gone so far. I mean, like I say, the Lucas story, absolutely nuts, but it's not going to be around forever. So
no.
Grit our teeth, deal with it, and then it'll be done.
Were we meant to support Lucas's decision this week that he wanted to kill Caleb? Because Caleb is obviously a bad character. He's upsetting a character that we're meant to be supporting, which is Denise and Chelsea. So are we meant to be cheerleading Lucas into saying, yeah, go on, do a murder?
Well, I mean, what we're supposed to be what we're being led to believe, according to Chelsea, is that Caleb shot Jordan in front of Chelsea.
Lucas killing Caleb actually the right thing to do, and so should we feel then sorry for Lucas that he's now been put in this situation where he's almost been told by everyone that you're the only one who can solve this problem. At the moment they're saying, oh, don't do anything to Caleb because the repercussions could be much worse, but I can't help but think that down the line we're going to find the characters actually saying, actually, Lucas, you've done time before, you can do it again, just kill him. And so then as viewers, are we meant to be like, yeah, kill someone?
Yeah, I mean, do you feel? I mean, it might just be me, but I kind of felt a little bit sorry for Lucas when Chelsea was sort of having a go at him at the end of the week. I sort of say like because he seemed quite pleased that she was wanting to have him in her life again, and then when she was sat there going, "No, I hate you. I absolutely despise you. You make me sick. I don't want to, and you can kind of just see his eyes going, "Oh." So I did feel a little bit sorry for him. So I wonder if what his reaction to that will be. Because he asked Chelsea whether she'd ever be able to forgive him, and she said, "Take the drugs, leave Calib alone." And then he kind of nods and thinks, "Right, okay, that's what I need to do." But then she sort of rebuffs it again with, "But I will always hate you." So it's like, well, no, you're never going to forgive him, then, are you? What is Lucas's reaction to that going to be? Just sort of go mad and just do what he wants to do, or is he going to be respectful and sort of go and live on a quiet country lane somewhere and sort of build up his life again? But I think that because we've had these little moments of, moment with Ruby in the street a few weeks back, Echo Gate and Slow Gate, when Denise was talking to him, Mad Lucas is still there. So presumably at some point that's going to come out and someone's going to get hurt in some way. Whether that is Calib or somebody that we actually care about remains to be seen.
Yeah, and I think even though his family doesn't like him, I think he still loves his family, especially his daughter, enough to want to protect her. So I think that's going to come. Talking about someone who can't protect their daughter because she's dead, that's Max.
What a link. What a link.
Max decided this week that he would speak to a psychic, a clairvoyant, just to, I don't know, put his mind at rest. I don't really know. Baby Abby had drawn a picture of her mum.
Yes.
And Max had drawn on the back of this piece of paper for the clairvoyant, and something clicked to him. He thought, well, okay, I need to put my mind at rest. I need to lay Abby's death to rest once and for all. So he invites this clairvoyant over.
Advert come from?
Well, that's what I wondered. I wondered if it was like a flyer within a magazine, because everyone in the house, there's only Jack there, I guess, but Jack was adamant that, this is nonsense. Why have you done this? Why, don't have this mad woman over? I don't know. It seemed really odd. It seemed like a really strange thing for Max to do as well, because I know he's a bit desperate, and I know he's very upset about having lost Linda. And, a lot of things have happened to him in a very, over 2-3 years where his life has pretty much been destroyed around him. But this is quite a desperate act for a very desperate man.
But this is what I mean. So when I was watching Wednesday's episode, I was expecting it to just be the most awful, cringe-worthy stuff I'd ever seen, and for it to feel entirely unrealistic. Because when he turned over that bit of paper and sort of read the clairvoyant thing, I was kind of like, "You are kidding me? No, please no." And then when he was actually talking to him, and you could I kind of got it in a weird way. Like you say, if you actually think about Max's life. 2 of his kids dead, both in the same way, and both arguably in his fault in a lot of ways. He's lost more women than you can shake a stick at. Lauren hates him. He's probably never going to see Oscar again. And he is basically living in his brother's house and has nothing for himself. And the restaurant isn't. Do you know what I mean? His life is just in the gutter.
There's not much going for him.
No, and the fact that he felt that was I think he just needed a bit of comfort. It's like those when people go and see psychics and all that sort of thing, a lot of the time, if the psychic's doing their job right, no matter how much you can, they close their eyes, wave their hands over a crystal ball and say, "I can see a tall, dark man in your life," and all that kind of thing. What they're actually also very good at is saying the right stuff to make you feel positive about your life.
Yeah.
To sort of get you excited for the future, or to sort of make you see life from a slightly different perspective. So I kind of can understand why Max would do that, just for anything. Just a desperation to feel comforted in any way. Because what he was essentially after was the psychic telling him that Abby forgives him.
Yeah, that's what I think that the psychic or the clairvoyant had done. And that was basically a therapy session for Max, wasn't it? It was like a cheap therapy session for him.
This clairvoyant don't know Abby, because Abby would not be forgiving her.
Oh, no, Abby.
At all.
God, no. She'd be haunting the hell out of him right now. The stuff she'd be doing, moving chairs when he's about to sit down.
My psychopathic ghost and nearly headless Nick.
She really would. She'd be locking him in giant freezers, all kinds of stuff. I mean, it had a lot of problems. It had potentially a lot of problems, but it actually was fine, because the clairvoyant ended up being a kind of like a friend, almost a shoulder to cry on. She just listened to what Max had to say and just comforted him.
Max to sleep with her.
Yeah, as form of payment. But the problem is that not baby Abby. The problem is that Abby was watching, so you know he
I
could.
don't think Max really cares about stuff like that.
I hope he would. His own daughter. Like, come on, darling.
Max doesn't care who he sleeps with, where he sleeps with them. He ain't bothered.
Or who in front of. Jack tried to comfort Max as well because he feels like that Max's life is crumbling around him, and by telling him a secret that really Jack shouldn't have told him, and that is he saw Mick being interviewed for a historical sexual case.
Yeah, that whole scene, right? Okay, so Jack is just basically standing in a police corridor, minding his own business. This policeman comes out of the interview room and he goes, "Oh, I'm having a bad day, mate. Sexual abuse case. Can you believe it?" And walks off. And Jack's like, "Oh, mate, I can sympathise." And then sees Mick as the door opens. So basically, Walford police station is full of police officers just gossiping about all the interviews that they're doing. And then, yeah, he goes back to Max, sees what a state he's in because he's drinking whiskey from a coffee cup. And
I loved that, by the way. I could relate to that.
Yeah, right. We're both drinking now. I thought it was quite nice of Jack to sort of give Callum a break of being Walford's worst ever policeman.
That's true.
But he literally tells Max everything about the case that he's managed to find out. So in Max's sort of warped mind, he's going to think, oh, the only reason that Linda isn't with me is because she's such a good person that she wants to stay with Mick because of what's happened to him as a kid.
Yeah, she feels sorry for Mick.
Can come out of Max finding this information out. So I don't know what Jack was thinking.
I think Jack is desperate again. He's trying to support his brother, isn't he? And he's just thought this could be one way. I think Jack thought that if he said it to Max, it might have put Max's mind at rest about, the whole Linda thing. But it actually has probably ramped it up to 100 and made Max now desperately trying to get Linda back even more. I think it was a bad move by Jack. But then why are we surprised that Jack has leaked information that he found out from the police station? Because that pretty much is his role on the show, isn't it?
That's all he ever does.
Yeah, him and Callum, that's their role.
It's a character thing at the end of the day. Jack is wanting to cheer his manic depressive brother up by giving him this information. So what happens now? Does Max go to Linda? Does Max go to Mick? What is Max's next stupid move? He'll
probably reveal to Linda that he knows.
Yes.
And I take it that it's then going to be some sort of showdown between Mick and Max because Mick doesn't really want the world to know about his situation. He's trying to do it very quietly, very secretly, although he's happy to report it. He doesn't want everyone to know. But yeah, I think Max, if Max uses it as a threat toward Linda and Mick, which would also be a really bad move because I don't think Linda will suddenly be like, "Oh, Max, that threat has really turned me on. I'm going back to you now."
When you get blackmailing.
I think it would be a bit of a bad move by Max. I think Max, the best thing to do would just to keep the information to himself. But as we know on EastEnders, once a secret is out, it all gets leaked. I also liked that Rainie took full advantage of Max's depression to have care of baby Abby for longer this week.
You don't look well, I'll take Abby, that's fine.
Well, I loved her manipulation. Yeah, I loved her manipulation. She was going to this really caring, and I generally thought she has actually been quite thoughtful toward Max. But then right at the end, when she smiled, she was like, "So I'll look after Abby, shall I?" and smiled and then ran out the room. It was perfect.
That as a yes. Bye.
Yeah. So I am pleased, and I really do hope that, obviously we know that Max is leaving. I hope that Rainie does end up having the care of baby Abby.
How mad is that? Did you think for a second when this all started that it was the sort of custody of baby Abby was ever going to end up with Rainie and Stuart looking after her?
No, I really didn't, because she's got absolutely no blood tie whatsoever. But but somehow she's got her, and baby Abby is. I like it though, because I want Rainie and Stuart to be this family unit. I want them to bring up this monster in the future. It's perfect. It's perfect. In 16 years' time, adult Abby had inklings of deceit and anger inside of her that was just brewing and was ready to pop, but then the producers decided to kill her off.
Will she grow up singing songs from Watership Down is the question.
I can only hope. It's time for a game, I think.
Yes, we are going back to Ruby's cocktail bar, Alex. This is Ruby's cocktail mixer. Alex, are you ready for a night out?
I'm very ready. It's been over a year, Rob. I need something. I know.
It's not going to take long for us to get drunk, though, is it? The rate it's going.
I'll be anyone's in a minute.
Lager, I'll be on the floor. So I'd like to thank Mitch Hamer, I hope I'm pronouncing your surname right, for sending us this. He heard us when we did this game last time and was inspired to send me a game to play with you. If you don't remember this game from last time, listeners, basically I'm going to describe a drink that Ruby is going to prepare for characters on the square. And the drink ingredients reflect their personalities and their characters. And it's up to Alex to guess who each drink is for. Glasses at the ready.
I've got all the bottles in front of me. I'm going to mix them as you say them. And then I'm going to have a quick sip. Yeah, oh yeah.
We should definitely do that one episode.
We'll release a menu.
After dark.
Yeah.
Okay, here is your first one. 8 shots of white sambuca, 8 shots of black sambuca, and a short of the Queen's gin.
I mean, I feel I'm leaning towards Sharon, but...
Why are you leaning towards Sharon?
I don't know, because she wears a lot of black. Her hair's white.
Okay, that's...
And she's the queen. She's the queen of the square, the Queen Vic and everything.
Okay, I will get. So, is there any games that you can think of?
Is Othello
colours white? What? No, it's not. Othello. That's very high class of you.
It's a posh man's Connect 4.
So, white sambuca and black sambuca. Is there any games you can think that also might involve the Queen that might be related to any of our characters?
Oh, chess.
Oh,
Bernie.
There we
Bernie.
go.
Bernie. She's too young to drink, isn't she? Bernie.
8 shots of white sambuca, 8 shots of black sambuca. I mean, to be fair, she's taken after her mother there, isn't she? She ain't starting quietly.
No.
8 shots of white sambuca, 8 shots of black sambuca, meaning the white and the black pawns on chess, and a shot of the Queen's gin. So it's Bernie.
Bernie. I mean, these...
I don't think I can even give you the point for that one, because I had to literally drag it out of you. Anyway, number 2. Any drink that is eligible with a sandwich meal deal.
Keegan?
That's correct. Well done.
Yeah.
That was nice and easy. Do that one. Number 3. A glass of milk poured from a glass bottle.
Gray.
Yes, correct. Well done.
Because he likes glass bottles for dramatic effect.
That was another one of those things that I do when I forgot there wasn't a camera on me. I just did it as a big dramatic arms out smash. I'm such an idiot. Right, number 4. Any lager, just not a Stella. Any lager, just not a Stella.
I mean, would that be Phil?
No.
Ben?
Correct. Yes, well done. Obviously, for Stella, a slight issue for Ben when he was younger.
He can't look at teaspoons the same way ever again.
Can't, or irons, or anything like that. A fine wine, aged to perfection.
Kathy?
Correct. Well done. Doing these very well so far. You got 4 out of 5 so far.
Yeah.
I can give you.
Okay.
Number 6. Loves a martini, but can't resist a ginger beer.
Oh, that's clever. Martini, ginger. That must be Stacey.
Correct. Well done.
God, that's very clever. Who wrote these?
Good one, that one. That was Mitch Hamer who emailed me these.
God, Mitch,
I will say,
good.
Mitch sent me one for literally every single character. So this is like the highlights. So I've got other games ready for when. Your next one is a mouthful of whatever her daughter's having.
That sounds dodgy. Is it Karen?
It is not Karen. Why would it be Karen? What was she thinking?
I don't know. I'm just thinking of a character that has a daughter. So
that has a daughter.
Yeah.
I think about what I'm saying. A mouthful of whatever her daughter is having. You will kick yourself.
A mouthful of whatever her daughter is having.
I mean, technically, her daughter didn't have this, but the inclination was there.
I don't know. I really can't think who it could be.
Suki.
Oh, for goodness sake. Of course it is.
The iconicness of that scene just forgotten about now,
I know.
Now then, this last one, I will be impressed if you get it. It's a bit of a word one, this one, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, but I put it in because I quite like it. But you've got to think a little bit laterally with this one and think about each word that I'm saying to you. Okay?
It's worked out so well so far. Let's go.
I know, right? It's really good. You're great at these. I will say it's a female character, just to sort of put you in the right sort of direction.
Okay.
Beef eater gin, Lambrini, and old speckled hen. Now, is there something, if you were playing Only Connect, have you ever seen this?
Yeah.
If you're playing Only Connect, is there anything that links those 3 answers?
Beef eater gin,
Lambrini, and old speckled hen.
Well, see, you emphasise lamb.
I did.
Lambrini. Lamb.
Lamb.
Lambrini. Old speckled hen.
Yeah.
Beef eater. Oh, they're all kind of like, so it's like beef, lamb, hen, chicken.
yeah. So yeah.
Okay.
And they're all
meats.
Yes.
They're all roast meats.
Well, the preparation is not quite so relevant. But,
Okay. So they're all
stick
meats.
with the meats thing. And who deals with who typically in trade would deal with meats?
A butcher.
And that would be
Tiff Butcher.
There you go. Well done,
Oh.
Tiffany Butcher. That's good. That one, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
very good. Very good.
Get yourself into question writing, Mitch. Tell you.
I tell you, yeah.
Give me a break this week.
They were very good. I like them.
They were very good. So 6 out of 8.
So yeah, 6 out of 8. I tell you what, we've done really well these past few weeks for our like the games, like our scores and the games themselves. I have to say,
we're experts. Send us your games, listeners. Send us your games. Make them challenging. Make them as hard as you like, and we'll see if we can humiliate each other on the air for your listening pleasure.
Yeah.
AlexWalfordWeekly@gmail.com or RobWalfordWeekly@gmail.com. So thank you very much to Mitch for that. So that was Ruby's Cocktail Mixer.
So we touched briefly about Mick's story this week, but there's a lot more attached to it than just Mick being questioned by the police. There's obviously Sharon now teaming up with Phil after getting blackmailed by Linda for the
spaghetti
pub.
junction, trying to work out all the connections in this story.
It really is. But we're going to start off with, there's been a sighting of Tina, much to everyone's relief that Tina is alive, but I use that term very loosely because...
Sighting in inverted commas.
Exactly, because Gray has paid a homeless woman to impersonate Tina and to get the attention of the police, then shoplift from a shop, obviously, so that they would get some attention, and so they would think that Tina is still alive, and then the news would get passed on down to Shirley, and a relieved Shirley and Mick.
First of all, the shoplifter was supposed to match Tina's description. So what, did Gray dress her up in a big pink fluffy coat or something?
No, I think she just wore a hat. I think because when Gray met back up with the homeless woman in the other cafe, she was just wearing a hat that perhaps Tina might have worn. You know what I mean? It was like a kind of like a knitted beret with like a
cartoon
pink
character.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I mean, for the police to say, oh yeah, that must have been Tina Carter. I'm just guessing.
Must have been Tina.
I'm just guessing that the homeless woman must have walked in and said, "Hello, yes, Tina Carter. Tina
Hello,
Carter
I'm
here.
Tina. I'm stealing this bottle of vodka.
Yeah, Tina Carter. Tina Carter. Oh, hey, yeah,
Carter.
it's me, Tina.
Carter.
Tina Carter. Then got what she wanted and then left the shop. So, I mean, how could they have possibly known or made the link that was Tina Carter? Because you're right, she wasn't that closely linked to.
Wasn't anything like it.
No, it was a really strange thing to have happened. But I mean, Shirley's now feeling much more relieved, and she's now put it upon herself that she's going to go to where this incident happened and find Tina, because Tina can't have gone much further than that. Even though Gray is pushing the lie that Tina doesn't want to be found and that she wants to be kept, she wants to be on her own, perhaps with Ian. We don't know. Her and Ian might be together right now.
There was a bit of an odd scene this week with Shirley and Gray, where Shirley and Gray randomly just had this argument, and it was sort of like Shirley took 2.3 and 3.8 to make 5. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was like she pulled these facts out of nowhere to kind of come to a correct conclusion that Gray wasn't quite the person that she thought he was.
Quite a convoluted way.
Yeah. But then by the end of the week, they've made friends again. So it was kind of like, I felt that was just a bit random myself. I don't know why quite that they were arguing, because she seemed to just be saying that Tina was right about you and all of this sort of thing. It's kind of like, where did you get that from, Shirley? Where did any of that come from?
Yeah, she seemed really stressed with Gray, didn't she? And I suppose that's where Gray basically took the desperate measure of hiring a homeless person to pretend to be Tina. Because I think Gray sees Shirley on his side as a kind of like a defence for other people so if anyone kind of questions the Chantel thing, it's like, well, but Shirley believes me. And so he kind of is keeping Shirley on his team. And it's really weird that he's so desperate to just keep Tina alive. It makes me think that Tina is dead, that he has to do these measures. I mean, this is what I want to know. Do you think Tina is dead?
No, I don't. I'm really convinced that she's not. I just think that there was too much. The thing is, the stuff that we don't know, and I feel like if she was dead, then we would know it. such as where did he take her, in inverted commas, body? What was the thing about the blanket being stuck in the back in the boot when he drove off? All these sorts of little things. There's questions there that haven't been answered, and I feel like they would have answered those to sort of put the idea of Tina being dead to bed straight away. I'm fully expecting Tina to turn up at some point in this big twist that none of us saw coming, to sort of bring the Grey story to a conclusion.
Do you think she'll just reappear like Denise did this week, kind of rambling down the market street after?
No, I think was sort of wandering around all sort of wide-eyed. No, I think what's more likely is that she will be sort of just like we'll follow Grace somewhere one time, and Tina will be tied up in a hut in the woods somewhere or in a warehouse, because why the hell? And it will be revealed that way. I'm 98% convinced that she's not dead.
But I don't know why Gray wouldn't then make Tina messaged Shirley, because rather than doing this really ridiculous plan where, like I say, that you had someone pretend to be Tina to go into a shop and shoplift. Why would he not just get Tina to send a text message? Because that's another thing, isn't it? Like,
fine. Stop looking for me. Love Tina.
Yeah. Kiss. I mean, there was the question about the mobile phone. That there was a message sent from Tina's mobile phone from the airport, but then why would she then go to the airport and then go somewhere else? And it was the writing even was going round in circles and kind of tying itself in knots, and it was confusing itself. And I just felt like if Tina isn't dead, then Gray is making
work for
more work for himself, to try to prove that she's left than what he really needs to do.
But at the same time, I kind of think that Shirley goes out looking for it. She now in her mind knows that Tina is okay and alive. Yeah, she's worried that she's having to shoplift and that she's apparently homeless or something. Because Shirley's kind of like, I'll go to Tina's mates. Sure, she's bound to have been on the sofa there. A, why didn't you try that in the first place, you dozy cow? And B, like, why would Tina have to shoplift if she was all right and staying at her mate's?
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like it's just going round and round in circles, and I just don't think Gray is Gray is normally this very methodical planner, and it's something that came up this week, which kind of made me think that he is very calculated, and more calculated than when he was first introduced to the show. Like when he was abusing Chantel, like a lot of the abuse was not particularly planned outright. It would happen almost on a spark. Something would be said or done, and then he would, hit Chantel. But this week, when he spoke to the homeless woman, he quite plainly said to her in a very calculated way, if I see you around here again, I will be very angry. So now it's almost like he's learned to embrace his anger and his abusiveness, and is able now to put it out there in a much more direct way. Yeah, and I just wonder why he's not doing that with the whole Tina hiding thing. I don't know.
Yeah, although fair though, yes, his abuse of Chantel was quite sort of a spur of the moment thing, but also he was calculating with the abuse of Chantel, because he would always, whenever he hit her, it would always be in the stomach or somewhere where the bruises weren't visible.
That's true.
So he knew. So all the time. So I think Gray is always sort of thinking about sort of the next step in case of having to cover it up or something. But I think in that case you're right with this Tina plan, that I think things are sort of just unravelling around him slowly.
Yeah.
People around him aren't doing what he hopes they will or what he wants them to do. Like Shirley going off looking for Tina isn't in Gray's master plan. So he's trying his best to sort of stop her from doing that, whilst going, yeah, that's a great idea. You should look for Tina. Yeah. So, because the thing is, if she's tied up in a shack somewhere, she's going to be there for as long as he needs her to be. It's like, what does he want to happen in the long run? Is he just hoping that Tina's just going to starve to death in this shack?
Well, yeah, but surely he's looking after Tina. Do you think he's just left Tina to die? That's interesting.
No, I don't think anything. Mind you, he did it to Chantel, so
quite morbid, isn't it? Yeah, exactly. He left Chantel to die. Do you think he's just or maybe he's to put Tina in this place, not thinking that she is dead already, but.
That's more likely.
There'll be a scene where he'll return and she'll be missing, and so then.
Yeah, that's more likely, I think, because, like you say, if he's what is he keeping her alive for in terms of? We're talking as if Tina is alive. I'm sure she is. Are you less sure? Do you think she's dead?
I want Tina to be alive, but I also want Jordan to be alive, and so
one of them ain't gonna be.
It's one of one thing, two dozen of the next. I don't really know. I don't really know. I
want Ronnie and Roxy to be alive.
I want Abby to be alive.
I want Abby to be alive.
I want Pat Butcher to be alive.
And Pat.
I want them all to be alive. So yeah, I think the intention was that Tina is dead, but I think there may be some some backstepping.
I'm just going by sort of Kate Oates' experience, to be honest, because
sounds like a fun ride.
It is. It's white knuckle. You've got to be a certain size to ride the ride, and you've got to also have like the experienced sound as well. So you're wearing headphones whilst all this sound's going on around you. Anyway, there's a sort of similar story in Coronation Street that she did, where there was a character that we had seen kind of be murdered, but then turned up tied up in a shack a few months later down the line. It was a big old twist because it was like, oh my god, I thought you were dead. So I think it's something of a similar vein to that. I'm not trying to accuse her of, sort of repeating storylines, God forbid. But that's what I'm expecting.
Okay.
I'm not even criticising that, because that's what I want to happen.
Oh no,
we
all
want Tina to be dead.
No,
so I want that to happen.
I mean, I don't mind Tina being dead necessarily, and that's not meant as anything disregard.
Heartless cow.
What I mean is that the nature in which Tina had, if she had died in that way, that would have been and it wouldn't have been right, I don't think, considering the past that Tina had. I just think that wouldn't have worked out personally. No. But then let us know what you think, listeners, by messaging below. Sharon's got control of the Vic, hooray.
Yes.
But she also has an annulment from Ian, hooray, hooray.
Very snobby lawyer came to the Vic.
Yes, all done in front of Kathy. Kathy had a bit of a breakdown this week, all off screen. Absolute ruined opportunity. I would have loved to have seen a scene with her and Bobby talking to a doctor or a psychiatrist or anyone about her problems, her woes, how she's feeling at the moment, into time with Bobby. There was literally just 2 small scenes with Kathy and Bobby, I think on Wednesday's episode, and it just felt wasted. But maybe in the future we might hear more about Bobby's problems and the way he's dealing with them. All we know at the moment is that he's getting better, but he's finding his dad running away.
He's still doing the tapping thing, so that hasn't gone away. Bobby's OCD is sort of still there in the background, which is encouraging for the future and realism of that storyline.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. But but Sharon now has the Vic, and Linda gets earshot of this and threatens Sharon by saying that if you don't give us back the Vic, we'll pay for it. Of course, we don't just want it given to us.
We're gonna steal it. We'll sell you it.
We're not going to do a Tina and steal it from you. No, we're gonna.
God, what you take us for?
But Linda will tell the police that actually the Mitchells, Phil Mitchell, had an involvement with Ian's attack too. Something that the police actually aren't apparently prior to knowing at the moment, which is really surprising.
I thought that was quite a good move from Linda, to be fair, because she's absolutely right. If you sort of wave the carrot of Phil Mitchell's name in front of any policeman worth his name, that's not Callum or Jack, but any sort of policeman in the force, they're going to jump on that and cart Mitchell straight off to prison. So I thought that was actually quite a shrewd move from Linda.
Well, don't forget, Jack is making a little hard drive or a USB stick full of information about Phil. So there's
the life and love of Phil Mitchell.
I know. He's writing. He's a ghostwriter for his autobiography.
Phil's memoirs. And like I say, yes, Ian has apparently had an attack of the guilty conscience and has completely signed over all rights and things, whatever the terms are, for the Vic.
The deeds.
I thought. Yes, that's the one I was looking for. I quite liked the scene where Karen came to pick up Albie. I was just like, right, thanks, Sharon, I'll be off. And then this Kathy and this solicitor woman walk in, and Karen just kind of subtly takes a seat in the back, and go, "Oh, drama! Watch this." And then when it's done, it's like, "Oh, okay, I'll take Albie now. See you, bye."
Yeah.
Sharon momentarily has the Vic and basically everything she wanted, even though she didn't look that happy about it because of what she had to get through to get it.
Well, look what she's lost. She's lost her best friend. She's lost a lot of trust in the community.
Well, she's lost 2 best friends, just Ian and Linda.
I think Ian's forgiven her by doing that move, by giving the annulment and also giving...
It's a way of apology, isn't it? In a way that only Ian can. It's kind of like effectively giving her money.
I mean, I don't think Sharon should now have this vendetta against Ian anymore, because Ian has pretty much said, "I'm sorry," through this, as you say, through this solicitor.
There's a big kind of thing with Kathy and Sharon all week. Is Kathy basically saying, "Do you not care about your husband?" and all of this sort of thing. And I'm starting to wonder if Sharon genuinely is starting to worry about Ian now.
I think
because
she
we have no idea where Ian is.
Yeah, no, I think
we're not going to
Sharon...
find out for a few more months.
No, Sharon is worried. I do think Sharon is worried about Ian, but she was using the marriage card against Kathy a little bit, and then as soon as she got the annulment, I think even Sharon was a bit like, "Oh, phew, I don't have to be a Bill anymore. I'm back to being a Watts." And I think the whole nation cheered when that happened.
Yeah,
when
so Sharon Watts on the credits again, thank God.
But then Sharon went straight back to Phil, which frustrated me.
Yeah.
I mean, all Phil had to do was flap his little white eyelashes at her, and and she was like, he said to her, "Oh, should we go for a dinner date next week?" And she's like, "Yeah, all right then." And then she gave that little smile she used to give to Keanu every time Keanu took his shirt off in the kitchen.
I mean, we all smiled whenever Keanu took his shirt off. To be fair,
we smiled in every way, but
grinned broadly.
This is the one thing I didn't want to happen, and that is Sharon going straight back into Phil's arms. And I know. I get that Phil helped Sharon out this week because Phil quite disgustingly threatened Linda's family, but telling her to back off and said, phone your kids, see how they are, I'll wait. And it was like awful. The same day that he had helped kill Sharon's son, he then threatened Linda to kill one of her children.
Yeah, I mean, he's taking a picture of Lee on his phone. A new photo of Lee, as far as we see. I don't think we've ever seen that picture of Lee before. And it's literally a picture of Lee kind of looking at the camera going, all right, Phil, you're right there.
I've seen you in a while.
Putting the idea in Linda's head that he will do harm to one of the Carter kids. Do you think he would? I mean, yeah, he'd probably tie him up or something, wouldn't he?
Oh, no, I think he would, because it's almost like the Max trying to impress Linda thing. Phil was trying to impress Sharon by showing how hard he is and how he can push his weight around to get basically everything Sharon and he wants. And
honestly, is this what it takes to impress women these days?
What, to threaten to kill someone's children?
Yeah, is that what you have to do?
Apparently so.
It's on Valentine's Day, everybody.
Reality show Take Me Out will never be the same again. Patrick McGuinness would take it quite literally.
Take the kids out.
I don't know. It's just I was so frustrated that this happened this week. It's like, okay, fine, Sharon and Phil have this history together. I understand that they're always going to have this connection. The fact that Phil was just completely turned and gone like, oh, I wish I had more time with Albie. I wish I saw him grow up. Ever since Raymond's come back to the square, I realised how much I missed out on his, childhood, and now I want to have the same with Albie. And little Albie, he was just staring at him like,
terrified.
What are you? So it's like, and all these stories that Phil kept coming out with this week, like all these things that Dennis had done, again, off screen. I remember that time he bought that multi-pack of Mars bars, and he was stood out. Yeah, and he was stood outside the Vic selling them for twice its market value. Oh, how would you get away with that? I never know. It's like, what are the kids so thick in Walford that they don't know they can just go to the shop, which is 50 feet from where Dennis is selling the Mars bars, and buy their own multi-pack of Mars bars? It's like, it's like all these little stories that Phil was saying about how him and Dennis were like BFFs. It's like the only time I ever knowed Dennis and Phil to bond was when they was like making that wooden box. And that was it, a music box for Sharon.
Yeah.
I mean, the last thing really Dennis heard from Phil was him basically saying, forget about Dennis, I'm going to go to Portugal without him, and then got in a taxi and drove off.
We've seen Phil and Sharon have both been in the show long enough for us to know that both characters are absolutely fine, kind of on their own, having their own stories apart from each other. And it's been so long since we've seen Phil meet a woman who isn't Sharon, or like somebody who's on the immediate square. Do you know what I mean? Like somebody like they're randomly sticking with Denise, or possibly Kat, or something like that. Yeah. I'd love for Phil to meet somebody brand new, and for him to have like his own brand new story with this new woman in his life, and sort of away from Sharon, even have Sharon and Phil have almost that sort of Stacey and Max type relationship where they'll occasionally sort of give each other sage advice about each other's relationships because they've known each other for so long and they know how the other one ticks. And the same with Sharon, she's had some great relationships outside of Phil. Dennis, Tom even was an alright character. So it's like they both work, and I don't understand what the fear is with making new characters for Phil and for the long timers to have some new material with. It's like they're scared of making the characters really sort of move on because they know that this Phil and Sharon thing is such an established sort of vein throughout the show's history.
It's it's easy out, isn't it? I think.
Yeah,
it's just easy.
Kind of I'd love to see both of them with new people and to sort of open the windows for new opportunities for new characters to come in and have established relationships with these established characters. I think it'd just be more interesting that way. But it does look like we're heading back into Phil and Sharon territory, which, not necessarily a bad thing, because we know the two characters work together and the two actors are electric on screen together. That's fine, but it's sort of like, I'd love to see something new for them. And it's like, Sharon and Phil get together again. So what's new about this time? What have you got to offer us that's new? Because we've had months now of Sharon sort of on her own and sort of, in the Vic and everything else and sort of being her own character, and now it's going to kind of, is it going to revert back to what Sharon was like a few years ago, where she was literally just a yes woman, and a bit of a gangster's mold to fill?
That's how I feel as well about it. I think that Sharon's just going to become this 2-bit character that is like sidelined by Phil again, and it's just a bit like, okay, so then they're just dampening Sharon again. They've built up Sharon so well this year or so, and it's been so great to see Letitia Dean having all these great stories, and it shows that she can do them as well, because they've been really fun to watch, despite some of them being a little bit mad. I really enjoyed it. I mean, Shianu was fantastic. Shianu's stuff was great. Not even, it was fantastic stuff. I loved it all. Shianu like really pulled up the show, in my opinion. I thought it was fantastic when they did this.
Quicker than they pulled up their trousers when Phil walked in.
Yeah. Do you reckon a Kathy, Sharon, Phil love triangle where Kathy basically cheats, Phil cheats on Sharon with Kathy, so Kathy gets her revenge, something like that?
I think that would be interesting. I mean, to be fair though, Kathy is the queen of keeping affairs secret, because that affair she had with Buster has never been revealed. So she knows what she's doing. Shirley's never found out about that.
Okay. Yeah, so as we say, I'll look forward to the date between Phil and Sharon next week. And the one thing I am looking forward to with that is I think it's going to be a few home truths are going to be said over a glass of orange juice and a roast.
And a carbonara.
Yeah, the carbonara. Yeah, I totally agree.
With oniony garlic bread.
Obviously, this weekend is Valentine's weekend, so we've had a few soppy Valentine's Day stories on Friday. We'll go through them very quickly. There's 3 of them. 3 of them. Well, 2.5, I'd say, because I'll start with the half, which is Galentine's Day, which was at the call centre, because Mo has just started a job at the call centre, but for how long? Who knows?
Not long.
Stacey, Mo, and Bernie all work there together now, and God, they're running rings round Kheerat. I don't think I'd get any work done, quite honestly, if I saw him at the desk opposite.
No.
Oh. Anyway,
literally like sexual harassment in the workplace, wouldn't it? Yeah.
I was on board what Mo was saying, I have to say. Like, is there any rules or regulations? Well, I'm not too sure, but don't worry.
Team Mo.
Yeah, oh God, Team Mo. So, would you have liked to seen the Galentine's night out? Do you think?
I loved it.
Do you reckon Kheerat could have gone with them? It would have been a bit like the Derry Girls, So, like, Kheerat was an honorary gal.
Well, I can sort of imagine it sort of being like, a hen night when the stripper turns up. Just sort of them cackling around him and trying to get him drunk. It would have been quite messy, I would have thought, but it would have been fun to watch.
Dottie said also in the club that they had just left the club. I would love to see a scene of them all messing around in the club, just to a bit of humour for the show, but
yeah, it would have been nice, but hey, we didn't get that.
Tiff and Keegan's upset because he couldn't get Tiff the handbag that she wanted. He got her a cheap replica from the market, which Tiff was really kind about and said, like, oh, don't worry about it, it's the thought that counts, don't worry. But Keegan's now feeling the pressure of keeping his wife happy. It's a bit like the Lee and Whitney story again, I feel, is heading.
Stuart and Rainie were really unhelpful through this whole thing. Both of them individually. Like, Tiff was like kind of making noises that there was a bag that she quite fancied, and Keegan was like, I'll get you a handbag. It's fine, I'm a great boyfriend, I'll get you a bag. And then, first of all, Stuart's just like, oh, yeah, it's a really expensive one. Yeah, so, enjoy your bag, Tiff. And then Rainie kind of walks into the cafe when they've got this bag and says, well, that's not the right bag, is it? That's the rubbish bag compared to the one that you wanted, Tiff. What's that all about? So the inclination, I think, is that sort of money problems are coming into the Butcher-Taylor relationship.
Keegan's applied for a job at Ruby's. I mean, he probably would have been making more money if people were going to work, but obviously because of lockdown, people aren't really buying like sandwiches off from the supermarket or from the store anymore, are they? It's kind of like it's almost a dead thing at the moment because people are just at home and they can make their own sandwiches in between conference calls and so on and so forth. So in some way, there is that realism there, but we go back to that old chestnut. How much of COVID is EastEnders actually incorporating into the show?
There was a very odd scene where Mick, I think it was on Friday's episode, said, oh, I need my mask. And there was a mad moment where I was just like, what do you need a mask for?
Yeah.
It's not COVID. EastEnders have sort of avoided the issue of COVID, which is fine in itself, but it's kind of like, then they randomly throw in a reference of Mick needing a mask when you literally see no characters wearing masks in EastEnders whatsoever. There's, in the Minute Mart, nobody's wearing a mask. In the Vic, no one's wearing a mask. Masks are everywhere, let's be honest. Like, everybody's having to wear a mask at the minute. Just the odd little references are kind of, all right, thanks, but you're not bothering with the rest of it, so you don't need to do that. It's fine.
Yeah, you're right. It's that old thing we've been saying is you either go all in and talk about it and incorporate it in the show, or just don't. If you don't want to mention it and don't want to be part of the show, fine, just don't then put little references like I need a mask, or bits and pieces like, or Patrick actually having COVID. It's, you in or out? You need to know. It's a referendum. Are you for or against COVID?
48 or 52.
Yeah. So the final love story is the Kush and Whitney. The Whitney, or what are they? Whoosh. Whoosh.
Whoosh.
Whoosh. They decide to have a nice, friendly Valentine's Day together. Housemate date, they decide to call it. But lots of things seem to happen that seems to be fate that's telling them to get together and have sexy times on the sofa. There's the Haribo ring proposal, the flowers just being dumped in front of Kush.
That was nuts.
I know. The badly distributed pepperoni heart on the pizza. I mean, if I got a pizza, right. If I got
Raw
a pizza,
pepperoni, I'd like to point out as well.
Well, yeah, but if they distributed like the fake, because you can get fake pepperoni from Papa John's, for argument's sake. Not that I have it often, but I know. And they shaped it like that. That distribution would irk me.
I'd cry.
Oh my God!
If I was ordering a pizza for my single night in alone, they sent me a heart-shaped pizza. I just sit there and just sob and stick on like sad music and Sinead O'Connor in the background while I just slowly eat my pizza and drink myself into oblivion.
Yeah, but if Ben and I ordered one as well, say, and like I saw him pick up a piece of pizza, and I saw that he was having a piece which had probably about 20 pieces of fake pepperoni on it, and then I picked up a piece and I only had 2 on there, I would feel like I've had a raw deal there. I want the main pepperoni. I want it distributed even. It's my OCD. I need it put perfect. I don't want cut the pepperoni into hearts and then put it on the pizza. Don't make a heart out of the pepperoni.
I didn't realise this was going to give you such all the stories this week. This is the one that's really irked you.
I swear, Rob, when I saw that pizza, when the box opened and I saw it, I had a meltdown.
I mean, my issue was the fact that the pepperoni didn't look cooked. None of the pizza looked cooked. But no, that wasn't even the issue. It was the distribution of pepperoni that was the problem.
Rob, to further extend your issue of the pepperoni not being cooked, I also noticed that they put the pepperoni on top of the pizza after they cooked the pizza with the cheese. You need to put the pepperoni and then the cheese on top.
Within the cheese.
It's just mind-boggling. What were they thinking? I would never return to that pizza place again. Anyway, so Kush and Whitney get together.
Yeah. Whoosh. I was wondering where this story was going when Bernie was sat there stuffing her face with sweets. And they were kind of having this really awkward dialogue between, oh, gives a sweet. Oh, go on then, you can have one. Chucks the sweet across, and then all these sweets go everywhere, and everyone kind of, how funny the sweets are falling out the bag. What are we like? And then eventually it kind of leads into Kush sort of semi-fake proposing to Whitney with a Haribo ring. It was it was odd. And then, yeah, they're having this date together. First of all, Kush is flicking through the TV, and there's nothing but love. The TV is actually doing that on Valentine's Day night. It's going through the window. Yeah, and then the power went out, so they had to have their pepperoni odd, awful pizza in really bad candlelight.
The only house on the whole square that had a power cut. Everyone else was fine. Just
that happens sometimes though, if you haven't put 50p in the meter or something, doesn't it?
Well, I don't know. I suppose they could have a key meter. That you're right. Actually, I stand corrected. You could use one of those top-up key meters, so you don't pay a monthly fee. You top up the key and then you put it into the electric box.
Yep, and it's quick, but it's quicker to get romantic candles on Valentine's Day night. And then Kush turns to Whitney and is like, "Do you think the universe is trying to tell us something?" "Yes, I do, Kush."
Whoosh.
Listen to it, and then they whooshed together in what was probably the most awkward kissing scene I've ever seen in my life. I bless them. It's not their fault. It's not the show's fault that they're having to do this. But God, I can't wait till the cast are allowed to touch each other again.
I know. I think it was Whitney, but it wasn't Kush. I spotted that. I think it was a different. So I presume it's Shona's boyfriend or husband.
Oh, but I thought it was Kush and... Oh,
you thought it was Kush and not Whitney?
Because Whitney was taken...
Why we should dissect this quite so heavily.
Whitney was taken from behind, and that's not what I meant. Well, maybe she was, I don't know. But filmed from behind, so that we didn't actually see Whitney's face throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, but you couldn't see Kush's face because it was covered by Whitney's head.
Covered by Whitney.
It was.
Just covered in Whitney.
I tell you what, I bet Whitney was covered by the end of that night.
I bet she was.
In pepperoni. Right, so that was that was the week of Walford, yeah, I mean, it was fine. It was fun.
All right week.
It was all right.
Scheme of things. It wasn't as mad as last week, so we're not quite as knackered after watching this week as we were last week.
No, absolutely not. We've got some comments from you guys that you sent in to us this week on I Ain't One to Gossip.
You know me, I ain't one to gossip.
So we start this week's gossip section with Mariam McSeveny. I really don't understand this Lucas plot. Surely if you are setting him up to get caught with the drugs, that means that the drugs don't get where they are going and then you get killed. If they get where they are going, you'd have had a holiday with your serial killer dad. There is logic there, Mariam. You're quite right.
Well, that's what I alluded to earlier.
She just summed it up really much better than we did.
She really did. You want a job?
Yeah, we'll come do the podcast.
Yeah, but they're absolutely right. I mean, what was Chelsea's plan here? It didn't really make any sense. She's damned if she did and she's damned if she didn't. So it kind of really, I don't know.
I mean, I sort of got the impression that Chelsea was planning on sort of going to the airport with Lucas, and then she was probably going to say, right, I just need the loo. I'll meet you past customs, and then sort of running away whilst Lucas then gets arrested or something.
But if Lucas was arrested, then the drugs didn't make his destination, so then Chelsea would still have the debt to pay to Kevin.
To Kevin, yeah. No, you're quite right, Marion. It makes no sense. To be fair, I think we've explored every single corner of the illogic nature of this story from start to finish. So, yeah, there's many plot points that you could pull at, but I think sometimes you have to go with the ride, don't you? As mad and illogical as that ride may be in this case. Trudy Barry says, hooray! I love Nancy. She's delighted that Nancy's back, as are we. She says, Lee next. Building up the casters again, so not every story has to revolve around Linda/Mick marriage drama.
That makes 100%, absolutely 100% true. They were so lost without having a family unit. And as you say, that was their unique selling point. That was their USP, wasn't it? That they were a family. They were introduced as a family and they had all these things going around. So yeah, bring all more back. In fact, introduce new ones. Bring Kevin Carter,
Kevin Carter. And Roger Carter.
Yeah.
Uncle Roger Carter.
Uncle Roger Carter.
There you
go. That's fantastic.
And Aunt Babe.
Oh, there is rumours fluttering around about that. Someone tweeted Annette Badland and said, it would be great if Aunt Babe came back. And she said, wait and see. Yes.
Yes, please. Oh, yes.
So that'd be fun.
Best news ever.
That'd be fantastic.
So. I loved Aunt Babe. She was nuts. Loved her. It's a shame she hasn't got Abby to bounce off back now.
It is a shame.
Have we thrown in enough Abby shouldn't have died references this week? Maybe not.
I think so. I think we there was a time when we would mention it every week. And so
and that long may that continue.
So it will continue. I mean, there's always the ghost of Abby, so she can always
poltergeist Abby.
Yeah, poltergeist Abby. Be like Rent-A-Ghost, wouldn't it? Gosh. Hi everyone, I'm showing my age. Right, I had a wonderful email this week. Don't forget you can email both me and Rob. Details at the end of the show, including how you can get in touch with us on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. This email is from Jeff Arnold, and he has written, after catching up with last week's episodes, I wanted to get in touch. After listening to your most recent podcast where you questioned the mad inconsistencies of the plot, I wanted to say how I feel that even the writers aren't paying attention to their own scripts. For example, on Christmas Day, Chelsea came to visit Denise to justify her meeting with Lucas. Denise accused her of being secretive, claiming that they speak every Sunday, and yet she never thought of mentioning this. Later, in the same conversation, Denise says, I message you all the time and you never reply. Yeah. If they speak every Sunday, and to prove my point once more, there's the mad story of Tina. Last week, the police said that they had recorded the last activity of Tina's phone at Stansted Airport, except only recently Gray went and hid in a picture of some trees in order to phone Shirley using Tina's phone to send her a fake confession. So did he drive all the way to Stansted Airport, not known for its woodland, in order to send this message? Or did he send this message and then later drive to Stansted Airport to use the phone again? I really enjoy the podcast and it's nice to know I'm not the only one finding it all bonkers at the moment. All the best, Jeff.
Cheers, Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff's right.
No, it's right though. It is absolutely right. But again, that's all soaps at the moment. I've seen episodes of classic Coronation Street where it's exactly the same problem. It's like, oh, this is so much better. It's like there's a nostalgic element to it as well. I think anything that was made when we were younger is 10 times better than what's being made today.
Thanks to everyone who got in touch.
You can contact us on Twitter and Instagram at Walford Weekly. You can find us on Facebook at Walford Weekly Podcast. On YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell to get notifications about our spoiler videos and any news videos that we post. You can listen to us on Apple, Podbean, Spotify, or any of your favourite podcast sites. You can email us, as we've said, at robwalfordweekly@gmail.com or alexwalfordweekly@gmail.com. We'll be back next week. Until then, See you soon. Goodbye.
See ya.
Bye.